Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa right here on Channels Television. Now, before the break, we brought you news concerning what the president of Congo is doing in terms of tweaking the constitution to favor his third-term aspirations. Well, he is certainly not alone in this bid for a third term. We've seen a lot of long-standing African presidents, but here are those who top the list. For instance, we've got the president of Angola, that's Mr. Dos Santos. He's ruled Angola for 36 years and counting. Then in Zimbabwe, President Robert Mugabe has been the president for 35 years and counting. Just nearby Cameroon, Mr. Paul Biya has been president for 33 years. In Uganda, Yoweri Museveni has been in power for 29 years and counting. Now, in Sudan, there's President Omar al-Bashir. He's been in power for 22 years, but former rulers who died while in power are, for instance, Libya's former president, the late Muammar Gaddafi, who ruled the country for 42 years, and Togo's Nasibe Eyadema, and he was in power for 38 years. Now let's take a look at the story of a generation of youth in northern Uganda who were raised in camps for internally displaced persons after having fled areas overrun by the Lord's Resistance Army, also known as LRA. These children in question spend their formative years depending on relief handouts and far from the farms that support the economy of the region. The LRA might be gone from the area, but what they left behind is youth with little education and hardly any skills, and also crowded urban centers without work and indisposed to culture.
19-year-old Jackson Murphy is an easygoing young man. He lives in Pabo Town, Amuru district in northern Uganda. When he was just a child, he was forced to leave his home and move to a camp in Pabo, housing thousands of people displaced by the Lord's Resistance Army, or LRA. Jackson's father was killed in an LRA attack. The rebels operated in northern Uganda between 1987 and 2006. He now earns a living making sandals from old car tires. It's not well paying, but it gives him something to do.
A lot of the young people here hate working. They like hanging out in town instead. But some are changing for the better and are doing things to try to make their lives better. But many youths still do not want to work, and these are the ones that want to get good things in life without sweating for it.
Having earned a reputation for carrying out massacres and mutilating victims, the LRA left Uganda about a decade ago and have roamed across parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and the CAR since then, eluding efforts to defeat them. According to analyst Stephen Ola, the devastating legacy of the LRA can also be felt in the lives of children born and raised in the IDP camps.
The second generation that we have lost were those who were born in the internally displaced persons camps. Many of whom, by the time they left the IDP camps, or by the time the encampment ended in northern Uganda, they were 15. The youngest would have been 15 years old. This generation knew nothing about productivity, knew nothing about social lifestyle, knew nothing about culture, knew nothing about aspirations and dreams of a young person, but survival and hopelessness, alcoholism, drug addiction.
With little education and no vocational skills, gambling and drinking are popular choices for the youth here. They grew up depending on relief materials, far away from the farms that supported their families and the region's economy. The situation is further complicated by the fact that many either lost their parents or chose to stay in the urban areas that developed after the IDP camps shut down.
Still to come on Network Africa. The IAAF suspends 28 athletes who competed at the 2005 and 2007 World Championships after adverse findings in doping retests. Details in just a moment.